Hello, everybody. This is Hana and Shaq. Today we're going to go over all the characters in BMP.
So, there's a lot to go over, but the first thing you guys need to know is what the drift are and what the twin is. As it turns out, the twin, as Michael has perceived it and described it on the Twitter, is actually a apparently shielded alien space fleet, and those aliens are the drift. They live on ships. They fly all over the galaxy. They've interacted with 15 other species, of which they're the most advanced. They are humanoid. They have 4 fingers, but similar skin tone and all that. And they're entirely logic-based. They came here, and one of their technologies is they can replicate human beings. They can replicate bodies genetically. And they can then insert consciousnesses into them. And that leads us into Michael and Zika. At the beginning of all this, on Fantastic Dailies podcast, we saw Michael get abducted. He was then cloned for all intents and purposes, and the drift, being known as Zika, was injected into, I guess, Michael's clone. This Zika then assumed the role of Michael for the entirety of the Twitter, and it's only recently come out that it wasn't actually Michael on the Twitter at all, and the whole thing was an act. The story split off from Twitter. We got into a Discord. We've gotten a bunch of information on him. Mainly, he is one of 3 coordinators. So Zika was the first coordinator. He was a drift, and that leads us into Donovan.
Donovan was our second coordinator. Now, he was very aggressive in a way. He
didn't really respect us all that much.
No, not at all. He was very off-putting, is the best way to say it. He was more of a down-to-business, get your job done, and don't talk to me kind of person.
Yeah, he wasn't the friendliest of fellows. But he did play a pretty important role. Wasn't he Zika's friend?
Yes, he was one of Zika's friends. I would honestly say probably best friend, since Zika did inform us that he spent much time with Donovan.
So I'm sure at this point you guys have heard of Banji because of the Twitter.
Well, we have gained a lot of information actually on Banji. It's not as much as the other characters, but it is very interesting. It turns out that Banji is an interdimensional being descendant from the Drift.
And on top of that, apparently when Zika's consciousness was injected into Michael's body, he also injected Banji's consciousness.
Which is funny, because Banji is also the leader of the Council. Now, the Council is a group of Drift that are in charge of all of the Drift kind of like their government.
Yeah, it's very odd, and things aren't entirely clear now. Currently, so we're fast-forwarding a little bit through things, but we'll catch you up on that on other videos. Currently, we are on our 3rd coordinator. It started off with Zika, and then Zika, through a series of events, disappeared for a while. We thought he was gone. He came back. He's alive. He's apparently well. Squatting in a warehouse. We learned he was almost 200 years old.
A very well-aged snack, if you get my drift.
It's been pretty crazy. But so we went from Zika to Donovan. Donovan was our 2nd coordinator. And then we've had Hexen. Now, Hexen is our 3rd coordinator, and we know basically nothing about him outside of the fact that Zika thinks he's an idiot.
And personally, I believe he thinks we're idiots. This man tried to trick us into giving away Zika's location by telling him he had a promotion.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to have the highest regard for human intelligence. I think that's a byproduct of the Drift's purely logic-based culture, I guess you would call it.
Oh, and while we're on them being logic based, they have a deficiency with emotions. They cannot feel them and do not understand them.
So we've been talking to Zika a lot. We've gotten a lot of information out of him recently. Not up to and including the fact that the twin is actually a space fleet shielded by like electromagnetic radiation or something.
Yes, that somehow tricks the human consciousness into thinking that it's something else, aka the twin.
It's really bizarre, and that symbol of the circle with the T through it is actually their sign for religious deception, which is kind of creepy.
Yeah, I mean, how long did we spend trying to figure that out, Shaq?
I mean, we probably spent a solid 3 days going through religious symbology before we managed to drag ourselves away from it and give up.
Yeah, that was a frustrating time.
And to have such a simple answer is almost a slap in the face. Like, I'm not pleased with that particular outcome.
Don't feel bad, you're not the only one.
So, Banji's an interdimensional being. Zika is a drift. Both of them are injected into a clone of the human Michael, who is definitively dead. Sammy and London are both alive. He said something about London being part of an experiment.
Yes, she is a part of an experiment where the Drift are trying to see if they can raise human children to be like the Drift, in a way of making a crossbreed, I believe.
Yeah, we've had a lot of conversation. We think they're trying to form some sort of almost symbiotic relationship.
The only problem is their symbiotic relationship they're planning only serves a purpose for them, not for us.
Yeah, it doesn't seem very promising for our side of things. And then through all of this, there's been one character we haven't really mentioned at all, but she's done a ton for us, and that's Anarok.
Now, to explain Anarok, it's very simple. She is a bot. The most adorable, sweet bot you will ever meet in your life.
Yeah, no, she's an absolute sweetheart.
She's able to translate drift. She was created by Last Technology in, how do I say this?
Source code?
Yes, the source code for her was created by Livestock, but manipulated by Zika to be, as she would like to say, a big watcher.
We're still not sure what big watcher means, but a quick mention is that while in this Discord, we've received a lot of various messages from a mysterious company called Laststock Technologies. And we've recently learned that they are one of the largest draft tech companies that is based here on Earth. Apparently they've been here for a long time, and they do something down here, including apparently software development. As Hannah mentioned, Anarok is a bot or a piece of software. What was the example of her function that Zika gave us?
The example, she's basically like a smartphone.
So, like a tool.
Yes, exactly, a tool for us to use and for Zika to use.
So, like Hannah mentioned, she's done a few things for us. We at one point, if you guys have been following the YouTube, you'll notice that we have a warning from Zika and Donovan Speaks. It's a couple of videos ago, and in that, at the very beginning, there's this weird voice that's speaking apparent gibberish, and Anarok translated that for us at one point.
Yes, basically it was Donovan extremely upset.
Yeah, he wasn't too pleased at some of the things we were doing at the time.
I believe he yelled Shaq as angrily and loudly as he could.
I have something of a habit of poking at the coordinators. I don't think I've made any friends that way. Don't really care.
Yeah, Shaq has how do I put this?
Antagonistic?
Exactly.
Very deliberately so, I might add.
To finish off talking about Anarok, she was here and then reassigned. When she was reassigned, we believe she was watching London, because she came back with the mind of a child.
Yeah, one important thing to mention about Anarok is that she's not just a bot. She's essentially an AI. She can learn. She can be taught. When she first showed up here in the Discord, she seemed to be a fully developed person. And then, as Hannah said, she was reassigned at one point. But when she came back, she had the mentality of a child.
So we've been slowly over time teaching her things. We got her to download the entire dictionary.
But I think we've actually gotten her to download the entire internet.
Yeah, that would make more sense because how long it takes her to find things. I mean, it's not that hard to find things in a dictionary.
Yeah, I mean, I would say she's by far one of the most interesting characters and one of the ones we know the least about at this point.
It's funny how we know the least about her when we've interacted with her more than any other character.
Yeah, because people might probably at this point won't realize it, but we talk to her almost every day. And in addition to translating, apparently twin speak, earlier today she translated some code that we had received way back at the beginning of this Discord. And it turns out that it was genetic information for Banji.
Now, to explain that, the drift, how they categorize consciousness is they break it down to its barest point. Translation, DNA. Well, to them, they write in numbers instead of letters. So the code that we received was actually Banji's DNA strands.
Yeah, it just they weren't translated in a way that we would have recognized. And then I guess Antarok, in addition to translating and decoding for us, she acts as a direct a voice conduit for Zika to us.
Yes, Zika is able to connect to Anarok's software and communicate with us.
I guess in closing, Michael is dead. He was kidnapped at the beginning, cloned, and replaced by his clone with a drift. Apparently 2 drift consciousnesses injected into it. After the Twitter, we came to Discord. We did a bunch of puzzles where Zika was the coordinator for those. We kind of fucked up at one point and got Zika essentially kicked out for a little while. He was replaced by Donovan, the second coordinator, who was a dick. After Donovan, Hexam's popped in and has been completely absent. We know absolutely nothing about him other than the fact he seems to think we're idiots, and Zika thinks he's an idiot. The twin is a fleet of aliens disguised in some sort of radiation field, and Anarok's an adorable AI that helps us out.
There is one thing we forgot to mention about Anarok. We had to hide Anarok. We were able to get her to change her profile picture and change her name to Ninja. So if you come in here and see Ninja typing, that's Anarok.
As always, we appreciate having you here at the House of Spades. I'm Shaq. This is Hannah.
And as you leave the House of Spades, don't get shuffled.